Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a list of players that are free agents in FM22. But before we jump into the video and take a look at the 10 players that we're going to take a look at today, make sure you like and subscribe for more content like this, more experiments, more series as well as we go through the beta and the full game. But let's jump straight into it. So first up, we have Paulinho. As I'm sure many of you are aware, he is a free agent on this year's Football Manager. And just look at those stats. For a 32-year-old, he is unbelievable. It's quite ridiculous, really, looking at how well-rounded he is and that no one has signed him as of yet. You can see, obviously, his career throughout this period. Started over at Juventus in Brazil, moved over to Corinthians, then was signed by Tottenham, which was the big move, then off to Guangzhou in China. He even made that move to Barcelona for 35 million, which is quite ridiculous, and then moved back to China again for a few more years up until Al Ahly came in for him, where ultimately he ended up not staying. But a hell of a player, like I say, in central midfield. I think he will fit into any Premier League team, either as a backup or a starter for some of the mid-table lower league sides. Not sure how easy it will be to sign him to those teams, but certainly a player worth looking at. Next up is the other big Brazilian. It's Daniel Alves. Again, he's 38, so granted, he won't be around for too long, but with 18 natural fitness, he will give you a full season, undoubtedly so. And with the stats he's still got at 38, and obviously his experience, there's no way you wouldn't want him in your side. Again, a player that could probably play at the top level still, even in the Champions League. At fullback, he's got fantastic crossing, first touch, passing technique, and obviously his determination, bravery and aggression all show up as well. But there's a bunch of 15s in there along with that. He's now played a lot in centre midfield for Sao Paulo last season, so playing on that right side or centre midfield, he's very versatile, even being able to play centre back or left back if needed. A fantastic player, and that just shows by all the trophies he's won and how many teams he's been to where he has won those trophies. Obviously, he moved to Sevilla early on in his career, moving then to Barcelona, where he absolutely smashed things, and then on to Juventus and PSG before joining Sao Paulo again in 2019. Obviously, that came to an end, and he is now a free agent, so a player that I would 100% recommend signing, even at the age of 38. I know a lot of people would prefer a younger player, but for that one season, if you need someone solid, you can't look past him. Next up is Eliaquim Mangala, the former Manchester City and Everton man, is a free agent and another great player to have. He's younger than the previous two we've looked at. At 30 years old, he's still got a few more years, especially as a centre-half. Being able to also play at left-back as well, and decent on the ball along with that, is definitely worth having him in the side. He could be a decent ball playing defender, or even one of the wide centre backs that you may now be implementing into your teams. 8 caps for France shows he's got that international experience, and at 6'2" with 16 determination, bravery and aggression, there's no doubt that he's still a very, very good player. Powerful centre back as seen there. Only issue is maybe the tries to play way out of trouble, but like we've mentioned before, he's got a wide range of teams that he's played for and won trophies at. Man City being the prime example there, and then moving back to Valencia before being released. But another player definitely worth bringing in the side if you needed. Next, we have what might be seen as a bit of a strange one for some, but Graziano Pella, another 35-year-old. So they're old players so far, and I can see why people wouldn't be interested because they're not long-term. But if you can bring him in, I think it's 100% worth it. As a target man, as a poacher, he is fantastic with 14 finishing, 16 heading, passing of 14 as well. He's got the attributes to be able to do that. Flair, strength, balance, all shows his ability to be able to hold that ball up. He's not the quickest, But if you're in a side that needs goals, he is a player to bring in. Granted, he didn't score many for Parma, but he has scored multiple goals in multiple seasons. He's done it in the Premier League before for Southampton, and he's banging the goals in for Shandong in China. Obviously moved to Parma for a little while, one of his previous clubs before being released. But I think it's 100% worth taking a look at and seeing if he fits into your playing style, and if you can make use of him. So maybe seen as another bit of a strange one, but Fernando is up next. The holding midfielder who's got a bit about him. Technique, free kick taking, a great player on that side of things, and he's still got a bit of pace about him. 29 years old and 8 caps for Brazil, so he's got the experience as well. He's a multiple-time winner with the likes of Spartak Moscow. Now, he might not be playing at the top level. He might be more Europa League, I'd say. You could probably get away with him playing in that, but again, for free, he's worth bringing in. I'm sure his contract wouldn't be as high as the likes of Paulinho, but certainly a player that you could be the replacement for. If you were looking at Paulinho, can't quite afford his wages, bring in Fernando. I think he's a player that could certainly do a job there as well. He's got the anticipation, the composure, and the decision making to be able to sit in that midfield, break up play, as well as being that pinpoint for passing and all that side of things as well. But Fernando, certainly one that I'd be looking at if I was someone mid-table in the Premier League, maybe. Now, Bentaleb is up next, the former Newcastle and Tottenham man, and obviously last season with Schalke, who were relegated. A player who's 26 years old, so the youngest on the list so far. And again, someone that can be with you for a few seasons. He's got great penalty taking, which you never know, you might need. He's well-rounded in the physicals and mental department. There are maybe a couple of areas that you could probably want to work on with concentration and decision-making. But with good first touch and good passing, along with technique in the middle of the park, he's a great player to have, a fantastic backup, I'd say. And this is what you really want from free agents. You don't necessarily, obviously, if you can get a world beater, fantastic. But the likelihood is you'll get players that are kind of drifting out of teams. And these are the players you want to bring in just in case your star man goes out injured. And I think Nabil Bentaleb would be a fantastic one to do so. Still a few years on him, so you can give him a multi-year contract and he'd still be good for that, I'm sure. 35 caps and 5 goals for Algeria as well, so not bad signing at all. He's obviously was at Tottenham as well for quite a while, so he might even be good enough eligibility-wise. It looks like he is, so certainly someone that would be able to get a work permit very easy in England, so a player that certainly worth taking a look at if you're there. Having only played a couple of times for Newcastle as well, he's got the experience of that side. But 6'2", big strong boy in the middle of the park, worth taking a look at. Emerson Hindman is up next. The former Atlanta United man has become a free agent. He's an American international, making 2 caps for them. Another centre midfielder on the list, and someone who I think is, again, someone worth bringing in the team, similar to Nabil Bentaleb in the sense of him being slightly younger, a backup player. Again, it is likely maybe lower league in the Premier League or Championship side. As you can see, he's played for Bournemouth and he's played for Rangers and Hibernian along with the likes of Fulham in the Championship, but I think he is maybe that step above the Championship. He'd be decent as a backup, certainly. Can play a bit further forward as well in the attacking midfield role, with some good dribbling, first touch, as well as technique in there. And his natural fitness, again, another player that will certainly be able to get you lots and lots of games. Certainly a fantastic backup because you'll know he'll always be ready. And you can see by his wanted that he's already wanted by a bunch of French league clubs, Blackburn in the Championship and Celtic even in the Scottish Premier. So a decent player to look at that kind of mid-table Europa League level, I'd say. Maybe even Conference 2 if. Next up is Robbie Brady, a player who actually, I believe, has signed for Bournemouth in real life, but at the start of the game he is a free agent. This might get patched out and set up properly for the full game, but if you're playing a beta save, certainly worth looking at. Someone who can play anywhere down the left hand side, so if you need a winger, if you need a left back, he's certainly someone to bring in. And there's a reason why he's gone to Bournemouth at the top of the Championship. He's a very, very good player. He's played Premier League football for a long, long time, and he's so well-rounded. His determination and work rate on that left-hand side is excellent. A player that's very versatile and certainly worth bringing in the side if you can. Again, played Premier League for a long period. Came through the Man United Youth Academy, so you know he's going to be decent. But again, a fantastic player. 18 million in valuation. He's played 254 games, and 200 of those just about are probably in the Premier League, and undoubtedly so he could continue there. An excellent player with some good all-round attributes. That's worth taking a look at. There's no point scoffing at it. 57 caps for Ireland as well. Someone who could even lead your team. 29 years old, so a couple of years in him as well. So a multi-year contract until he kind of dies off. And his contract wages won't be anywhere near as high as some of the others on this list. Hassan Ben Arfa up next. And a player that it's hard to decide whether this would be a good signing or not. Very, very interesting player. Someone who can just go off the hook, disappear in games completely, or change a game round absolutely on his own. Maybe a player that, again, decent acceleration and pace for a 34-year-old. He won't be getting stuck into any challenges. He's not going to be defending at all. So you need to be maybe a side with a bit of dominance. So one of the kind of lesser known European sides might be good, who are maybe at the upper end. He could thrive in one of those leagues. A league like Hungary, for example, I think he could absolutely dominate. Even the likes of Belgium, he could probably do very, very well in. Just because if he's on the ball and he's feeling it, he could destroy teams easily. With the dribbling he's got, first touch, technique, he's one of the best out there. And with a bit of flair as well, you can't hide from him. He's very, very good on that front. It's his mental attributes that only really let him down. You can see he's played for multiple clubs, the likes of PSG not too long ago as well. And he's been in France for a little while with a little stint in Spain as well for 5 games. But like I say, his mentals aren't fantastic. His bravery, concentration, positioning, leadership, even his work rate, not great. But if you put him in the right system, he'd be very good. How useful that might be with his age being 34, he's not a long-term situation, so it might not be worth it. But it's down to you guys what you think of that. Let me know in the comments if you think Hassan Ben Arfa would actually be worth it at all, if you could ever find a place for him in any of your sides. But you know, it's always fun to have a player with a bit of flair. And finally, we have Andy Carroll. Just because last minute, chuck him on the pitch, launch into the box, and he will win you a header. I think from what I've seen, there could be a lot of goals from corners and that sort of thing. It seems less and less that teams are being able to head the ball away. So I think Andy Carroll could be massive. I think if you bring him in as that last minute sort of need a goal, chuck him on the pitch. At 6'4", 17 heading, aggression 18, bravery 18, he's going to throw his head at everything. Route 1, do it like that, and I'm sure you could get something out of him. Bit of a fun pick for the last one. I don't think you're really going to need him in most games, but I mean, he still looks all right. There's plenty of green there. He might not be the best on-the-ball passer and dictator of a game, but like I say, launch it in the box and he can cause havoc for centre-halves. They'd hate to play against him. But there you go. We will leave it there. Like I say, I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If there's anyone else I've missed, let me know in the comments. If you disagree with any of these, of course, I'm sure you will, because they're not great, all of them. Not to put my own list down or anything, but there you go. Like I say, whack it in the comments, let me know, and like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you next time.